Hey guys, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing the Biohazard HD Remastered, which is actually the Resident Evil HD Remastered. And you might be asking, why am I playing the Japanese version? Well, first of all, the American version isn't out yet. Second of all, the only reason why I'm importing and the reason why I got the PlayStation 3 version instead of the PlayStation 4 version is an easy answer. They only made a physical copy of the PlayStation 3 version in Japan. I'm tired of downloading digital copies when other countries like Japan get physical copies of games. And if there's a physical copy available that I'm going to play from now on, I'm just going to get the physical copy, even if I have to wait longer. And that's exactly what I did with this, because if the server goes down, I'll have no way to re-download this as something, heaven forbid, happened to my hard drive. But what's weird is this version actually seems to, as you can see, the default language is in English. We're going to stick with alternate controls, which doesn't have the 10 controls but uses the analog. You can switch from wide to original. This is a remastered version of the GameCube and Wii versions that I covered earlier. I guess there's a huge difference, but I mean, the other versions were made for crappier TVs, so they don't display well on LCD TV screens. So to me, the GameCube version, in my mind at least, still looks as good as this, but there's obvious additions and stuff like that. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version and the PC version run at 1080p. This runs at 720p. But yeah, I imported this because, well, I would have more than happily waited for if they came out with a physical copy in the US, but unfortunately they're only coming out with a physical copy of the PS3 version, oddly enough, and nothing else. And the PC version actually runs at 60 frames per second. All the other versions, PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, all run at 30 frames. I'm curious if the 1080p versus 720p is going to make a huge difference, because it seems like a lot of the GameCube textures were retained in this, especially with the items, and the character models look like they've been updated, and it seems like the lighting has been updated, and there's some places that are rendered like in real time with polygons, but I'm not sure if that makes a huge difference versus the pre-rendered backgrounds, because I thought they looked good to begin with. Overall, the GameCube version actually wouldn't look too far out of place on the PlayStation 3 or something like that. I think the graphics looked way ahead of its time. But yeah, I'm surprised they couldn't pull off 60 frames, but I don't care. I like this version a lot. To me, it's the definitive version of Resident Evil, the original game that I've played so far, and I'm very happy with it. I'm just curious about the PlayStation 4 version, and I'm bummed that I couldn't get that extra resolution boost in physical form, but you know, what are you going to do? So, without further ado, I'm going to start this game, because I'm sure as much as you want to see this static screen, you probably want to see some gameplay more. So I'm going to start this game already. There's an additional option, which is this one, like taking a walk. You can relax and enjoy yourself. I guess that's the easiest version. Keep in mind, when you have the alternate control, it's going to make this game a lot easier to begin with. So I'm going to play on normal, which is like going on a hike, a good exercise but not too strenuous. This is the hard difficulty, like climbing a mountain, fulfilling but takes a lot of work. So we'll play this one. The only problem with the analog control on this, you can pick the Resident Evil 5 things. That's unrelated to what I was about to say. I like Jill's old costume the best. Jill was the first person I beat the first Resident Evil on PS1 with, and I like to stick to it, and I like the retro outfit. So I really don't like the character designs in the newer Resident Evil games. I really hope they go back to it. If I had my way, like, Resident Evil would look like this game, like Resident Evil 7 or whatever sequel they come out with. But, you know, a series has to grow too, so it's whatever. But there's just not a lot of games like this anymore, so this is a nice treat. I was really bummed when I found out that they weren't coming out with any physical copies, and I found out in Japan that they're coming out with one, and they basically were, it's on the PS3, but since the PS3 is region free, some games will lock themselves. Like, I think Persona 4 Arena had a lock on it, because Atlas isn't a terribly huge company in the US, Atlas USA anyway, so they need to sell their copies if they bring a game here, so they put a block on their game. But I mean, as far as the system goes, it's region free, and it's peculiar because even though this is called Biohazard, the actual case of the game says Resident Evil on it, which is very interesting. The back of the box is in English. The manual that the game comes with is English, and guess what? It appears that Japanese gamers apparently get manuals that are actually in color instead of like that slip of paper that just about every, maybe it was special to this game, but I was really surprised when I got a manual that was actually in color and said more than this game might give you seizures, and it was more than 2 pages long, and that was all in English. It was one of those covers that you could like reverse and have an alternate color cover, and that one was in Japanese, and it had like all the Japanese like warnings and information and stuff like that on it. The disc said Biohazard on it, but when you first look at the game, it says Resident Evil. I wonder if I'm sure Japanese gamers know that it's called Resident Evil in the US, just like we know it's called Biohazard. I think Biohazard's actually a better name, because Resident Evil makes it sound like every game's going to take place in like a mansion or something. I don't know. I don't think it sounds as good. I think Biohazard's more appropriate with the focus on like the viruses and stuff like that. But that's my personal opinion. I don't know why they felt obligated to change it. I'm sure when they thought of the name Resident Evil, they were thinking of the mansion being like the horrible place next door or whatever. Maybe they didn't know it was going to be as huge as it was. I mean, it was kind of an experiment. It did have games that were like Resident Evil, like Alone in the Dark and stuff like that, but I think Resident Evil is really the game that got this type of pre-rendered polygonal character on top of a pre-rendered level, like, or I don't know what you call it, plane. Like, it's the first game that really went super mainstream, although you could argue that Alone in the Dark was pretty mainstream, but it was still kind of a niche title.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain,
but this remake looks good. It's interesting. There's like a grain filter. There might have been one in the GameCube version, but like I said, excuse me, like I said,
What is this place?
you can't really tell on a lower resolution TV. They don't hold up well. Like, I got the Wii version thinking at least support progressive scan, expressive scan, and it didn't really
What was that?
work out too well. None of the Resident Evils
Jill, go and investigate.
support progressive scan. Eventually I'll cover Resident Evil 0, which if you watch my Facebook, I did a pickups video that was kind of stupid, where I actually physically picked up the thing. But I got Resident Evil 0 for the GameCube that runs on this engine. Of course, probably not this engine, because this engine's like the remastered version, but the GameCube original engine that's actually a prequel of this game. So maybe watching this video will pique your interest for that whenever I do that video. That's a prequel that actually has the team where you find a lot of the dead members of this game. I'm not a terribly huge fan of Resident Evil 0, but will only give it another shot. My cat's trying to climb on my leg and mess with all the wires that are hooked up. I'm trying to film this video. For all you people who bitched about Alien Resurrection save system, not Alien Resurrection, Alien Isolation. Alien Resurrection was the 4th Alien film. You have ink ribbons, which since I'm doing a video I really don't care about saving, but you get like 3 of them, and then you can save 3 times with a typewriter. That you have to find. So in order to save, you have to have a typewriter. So we're using the analog controls, the alternate control scheme that works well, but sometimes when it switches camera angles, it switches the control because you're facing a different direction. When they originally made these games, they wanted to look very cinematic. And I think they did an amazing job on the GameCube remake, which this is a remastered of, with redoing the mansion. Like, even though the original backgrounds in the first PS1 Resident Evil looked really good, they just made this look better. I guess CGI improved, but there's like so much more detail and movement, and there's like lighting that reflects on you, and it just looks really good. And that grain kind of smooths things out a little bit. Based on the screenshots I've seen, maybe it's a 1080p version, maybe the PS4 version looks better, or maybe it's because the screenshots are smaller. I feel like the textures looked better, but like I said, that might have been just because I was looking at tiny screenshots, because I can't see like the PS3 downgrading their textures that much, considering like the GameCube was able to render a lot of the stuff in this game. I think the character models are a little bit more detailed though. I think the lighting like has improved a lot as well.
Barry!
What is it?
I'd have to see them side by side. If they were side by side, I'm sure I'd notice a huge
Let me
difference.
take care of it.
I notice I actually can see what the hell is on screen now, though, which is a huge plus.
What the hell is this thing?
I found
The acting obviously is a little bit better, and the characters look better, but it's hard because I look at this game with rose-colored glasses until I actually try to play it on the GameCube, which I've done with older videos, and it doesn't hold up as nice as this. So there's obviously a lot of work that went into this. This feels like the first time I played it on GameCube on a regular TV, when I thought it was like the most realistic looking game. GameCube is such a underrated system. I can't even begin to tell you. I wish they got more support, because like Rogue Squadron in this game, they look like the games on like a on the next gen, or the next gen at the time, which would have been PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Obviously, when they're blown up and stretched on a big screen, they don't look as well. So, you know, they're reusing some of their assets in this, so not everything's gonna look as good, but yeah, the lighting on the characters and stuff, and there seems to be like more like detail with their gear and stuff like that on them. So yeah, you could tell they worked on it. I'm sure it wouldn't look as this good. I'm just curious the difference between the PS4 version, but like I said, there's no physical copy of the PlayStation 4 version.
Barry.
Any luck, Jill?
You had to look around, so basically you just go behind the stairs.
I can't figure it out.
Same here.
Chris and now Wesker.
Nobody ever thought to look on the up level, but whatever. I'll use the suspension of disbelief.
Okay then, I'll try the door on the other side.
This mansion is gigantic. I could easily get lost. Let's start from the
I still have a fondness for the original Resident Evil, but this is probably my favorite incarnation of it, just because there's some mystery in it. I never finished this one. Now that I have this HD remastered, I'd really like to play it for real. This version is a lot harder, but I think with the new control scheme, it might be a little bit easier. which makes this one harder. Is mostly because you gotta worry about lighting the zombies on fire and stuff like that, which hopefully I can get to in a reasonable amount of time if I remember where exactly to go. In this remake, there's definitely areas, and I probably covered a lot of this when I covered the Wii and GameCube version. Obviously, you must know that I like this game if I've covered the same game over and over again on different platforms. And you can switch it to the regular ratio if you'd like, but I really don't see what the point is, unless you just want to, you don't like the little pan and scan that it does every once in a while, which is subtle. I should have pointed it out. It's actually panning and scanning now when I go up and down. It's nice to see it on the huge screen. I was playing the GameCube versions, and there's this gigantic black bars, and I know some TVs have like that zoom feature, and this particular television I'm playing this game on now doesn't have the best zoom mode on it. You get that. Yeah, you're gonna offer me more bullets. You think I'm gonna say no? So we'll go up here. There's just subtle things, like the PS1 version's backgrounds were static. You can see the chandelier causing shadows going back and forth, and that's all pre-rendered, and they bake the lighting so that the lighting actually reflects on the characters, and it looks really cool when there's like lightning outside and stuff like that, and it reflects on the character. They really made the original mood more modern and creepy. I really don't want to shoot this guy. And there's a reason for that. I think there's nothing in this area except a booby trap. I think you need like a fake key or something. Like if you pull this key out, it's gonna start like a trap. Like these walls are gonna come in, and those spiky knights are gonna start chasing you around. Right now I have no keys, even though I'm the master of unlocking. Apparently there's very few things that I'm able to unlock in this one. The puzzles, in my opinion, are a little bit, they're not complex, but they're a little bit more spread out, I would say. I don't have a defensive weapon either. Survival horror, but for the sake of the video. Is he gonna leak? Yeah, he's gonna leak. When they leak, that means they're temporarily dead. If you leave them down there for a while without lighting them on fire, they turn out to become these monstrosities that turn into a gigantic pain in the ass that you have to deal with. Why, bullets? Yes, I will take them. You don't need to ask me twice. Give me that. Why, yes, I'll take that. And I pushed the wrong button. Control scheme on this takes a little bit getting used to. When I first tried the alternate controls, because I did attempt to record this one time and I wasn't happy with the quality of the recording, so I'm doing it again. Not that this one's going to be mind-blowing or anything, but I found myself kept on trying to use the tank control schemes, even though I had it set to like the analog control, so it's like, I guess when I just see like the Resident Evil type of like scene or graphics or whatever, I like subconsciously try to control it a certain way. It's crazy because I wasn't really thinking about it. But we need to look at this, examine, and most of the later Resident Evils you can't look at anything to this detail. I'm glad that they brought this back to the Resident Evil 0. If you picked up that obnoxiously loud car, I apologize. This still looks like GameCube textures from the original. I'm sure it's a little bit sharper, but I mean, you really can't fudge that. That looks straight out of from that generation. GameCube has a very distinctive texture quality. I really can't explain unless you played like a lot of GameCube games, or Wii for that matter. Can't explain it except it kind of looks like a slightly sharper PS2 version. Closest thing to it would probably be the Dreamcast. It's locked from the other side. You unlocked it. I did I? I believe this takes me into the upstairs hallway with a zombie. It's nice that they have real-time shadows. Let me get a defensive weapon. A defensive weapon will basically save you from, I pushed the wrong button again, that's why I didn't take it. This actually explains it. You can pause it if you want to read it. But a defensive weapon will basically prevent you from getting hurt when the zombie grabs you. The way you do this is actually the same way in the first game. I'm not sure if you use the same item for the same thing, but they kept some things similar. This game kind of, I guess in a way, even though you don't have to play the PlayStation 1 version, I think if you have, it kind of fucks with your expectations a little bit, because after you play the first Resident Evil like a few times or whatever, you like have a certain expectation of when things are gonna happen, what puzzles do what, and this game stays true to some of the puzzles, but for the most part everything's radically different. And with its jump scares, which was a thing that was actually really cool the first time I actually witnessed a jump scare in a video game. Although I will say the original Friday the 13th on the NES had jump scares that used to startle the shit out of me, which I didn't see until I played Resident Evil again in another game. That arrowhead fit in there, and if you look at that Cupid or cherub, whatever the hell it's supposed to be, has the same arrow that I just put the thing in. I believe that part of this area is rendered in real time. I think this part on the left is pre-rendered. I don't know. Right now all we need is this. In this game, definitely you only need to use it this feature a couple of times in the original Resident Evil, to the point where I didn't know you actually could do it, because you rarely use this like the examine part. But if you switch it around, you'll notice a key. Yes, I'll remove it. This basically explains if you put all the stuff in the maps, more than likely that coffin's going to open. You can pause it and read it if you like, depending on YouTube's grain quality. So now we actually have a key. we can get one of the most essential things that you need in the game. I wonder if it cuts off, because I swear like I remember the mall as being, you can switch it to the different aspect ratio. I just remember seeing that mall is more predominantly in the other version. Yeah. So some of the games cut off and it looks a little bit sharper, and maybe that's why I thought the resolution looked sharper in the other game, and you can barely notice the grain filter on it. So I guess you're missing some detail, but I kind of like the widescreen version better. So I guess they do crop a little bit, even though they do the pan and scan thing, but I guess it's kind of impossible. It's not like a polygonal like remake where the stuff's already rendered and you can basically draw the camera out further. I mean, the stuff's already drawn to a specific ratio, so I guess it wouldn't work out unless they made brand new pre-rendered games, and at that point I guess you might as well start from scratch. Use the mansion key. Okay. Can I use it here too? Nope. Oh, let me in. I didn't even think, did I reload my gun? Yes, I did. Later on, the game gets I always feel like the Resident Evil games get a little bit easier as time goes on, because you don't have to backtrack as much as very little places that I don't. Well, I'll take it for right now. Right now, I just want a couple of things. But I always feel like when you get in these games and you start unlocking everything, I mean, there's worse monsters and stuff like that, but when you start having access to all these different things, I think it makes it easier, in my opinion anyway. So we gotta blow the dog whistle in that faded mirror, and you can always look at your notes again. Obviously this isn't a playthrough, and if you guys want to see more of this video, I mean more of this game or whatever, let me know. This isn't really the shortest video I've done, but it's hard to show you any of the game without. Did I get everything I wanted? I got the dog whistle, lighter, and I didn't pick up that wooden thing, which I probably should, since we're going right near an inventory box. I can put it in there. I'm probably wasting time. By the time that I get back to that one zombie I killed, it's probably going to turn into a crimson head. So now my inventory is full. She gets an inventory upgrade, I believe, in this version. I don't remember 100%. Where she can hold more, like 2 more items, I think. Wrong door. This one I can't go into, right? Right. Fuck you. My dog's getting angry because she hears the FedEx people. I know you're not dead. Why are you playing that stupid game? Gwen, chill out. Sorry. Had to deal with real life problems instead of game problems. Are you leaking? Yeah, he's temporarily dead. There's another visitor down there. That's accurate to the original game. These zombies can climb stairs, which I'm glad he didn't vomit on me or grab me. That way I could keep my... He got shot an awful lot. I'm glad I didn't waste my defense items. Yep. They've seen better days. So now you have these safe houses. The Crimson Head zombies suck. That's if you don't burn them. Stop it, Gwen. If you're not familiar, Gwen's my dog. She's a nice dog, but she has a bad bark. She's protected. She's like a good burglar alarm. Not that, knock on wood, that I've had any burglars, but hopefully she's a decent deterrent. Alright, now I can get rid of some of this shit. Of course I want more handgun bullets. It's stupid to not have handgun bullets. So we'll take this. We're not going to fill this flask with liquor, but oil instead. Sure, if you drink the oil though, it would probably fuck you up, but in a different way, which probably would result in death. And then we gotta fill it up. I believe there's a limited amount of kerosene in these containers, so you have to kind of choose your battles. I mean, you really can't fight it. You're gonna run into a Crimson Head zombie at some point, and they kind of get deformed. Their claws get long. If they hit you one time, it like takes half of your health away. They can run and they can follow you through doors. They're pretty stressful things to deal with if you come in encounter with one. So again, all you people bitching about the save systems in some of these modern games, the save system is a lot less forgiving. That, and you have to have item management. So I think gamers don't realize they had it so good, and this is a remake, but I mean, they had to stay true. Usually with a typewriter, unless you come across an odd one, there's usually ink ribbon nearby, so I'm gonna put this ink ribbon here. Having to have the flask and the lighter with you at all times takes up your inventory, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you're used to playing as Chris Redfield and the other games, then I don't see you having much issue, because his inventory was limited to begin with. Now, as long as you light these zombies on fire by selecting this, they're not going to come back as Crimson Heads. And you can hear them. They make a weird specific noise. You'll know it once you hear one, once you fight your first Crimson Head. And then you'll be making sure you're lighting the shit all the time. But anyway, guys, I'm going to stop here because this video is getting kind of long. But But this is coming out in January in the US. If you want a physical copy, import for the PlayStation 3. It's not really super expensive to import. You're not going to pay any more at the most than you would for like a new PlayStation 3 game, which it is to me, but you can get it cheaper than that. But I'm just saying that's the most you should pay for it. I wouldn't pay for any more unless that's the only option you have and you're desperate. But if you like old school survival horror and like the original Resident Evils, like, I would definitely check this out in whatever form you can. I personally just wanted a physical copy. I hope I'm not a sucker and get the PlayStation 4 version, the downloadable one, but who knows? OCD is a bitch. But I'm very happy with this HD remaster. I'm very happy I can play it like on like the widescreen TV in full screen and have a decent remastered where it doesn't look fuzzy due to the lower resolution. And like I said, the newer versions will be in 1080p. I don't know how much that's going to affect the background. I think that's more going to update like the character models and stuff like that, because I think the actual backgrounds are always going to be at a certain resolution. I don't know. I haven't played it. It's one of the reasons why I'm curious about it. And OCD's a bitch. I hope I don't give in and get the same game twice. But, you know, I don't know. Very happy with it. If you like Resident Evil survival horror and you know you're not getting these kind of games, you get these survival horror games, but they're not the same thing. They're like Resident Evil 4 clones, which seems to be most people I talk to now's favorite Resident Evil, but mine personally is Resident Evil 2. This is my favorite incarnation of Resident Evil 1. I would love if they gave the same treatment to Resident Evil 2 that they gave on the GameCube, where they redid everything with these kind of graphics, but like in higher resolution, and not just make like a high resolution PS1 game. But anyway, guys, I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. Maybe I'll show more of this game in the future if you're interested, or I might do it for fun since I'm not making money and have a billion people, which I'm not complaining about. I'm very happy with the community and that I'm involved with and the people that watch my channel, so I'm not complaining. But I'm just saying, if you don't have like a lot of people on your channel, don't bitch about it. Just record stuff that you want to watch and you want to have fun with, and that's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, this is Resident Evil. Maybe I'll on the PS3, the HD remastered, also available here in January on the Xbox 360, of course the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC, which will actually run at 60 frames per second instead of 30. And the difference between the next gen and the current gen is current gen, although I guess PS4 would be considered next gen. They're like current gen now, but whatever. We're going to still call it because they still make new stuff for both systems. So PS3 360 is 720p, Xbox One, PS4, and PC is 1080p. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to thumbs up. And if you would, could you please leave a comment, positive or negative? I do prefer the positive comments. If you choose to leave a negative comment, please make sure that the criticism is constructive and you're not being mean-spirited to me or anyone else who comments. And I appreciate it so much that you guys watch my channel. And if you like this channel and you're new to it, feel free to subscribe. Although I'm sure if you wanted to subscribe, it already crossed your mind. But this is a friendly reminder. And to those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much for supporting the channel. For those of you who haven't, and you didn't like this video, find another video so I'll eventually win you over, and then you'll hopefully subscribe, because I'm desperate for new friends. Because I mean, even if I got more people, I still wouldn't be making money. I just like to hear from all of you, as long as you're sending positive comments, because you constantly send me negative comments, that would be kind of a bummer. But I am dragging on with this. It's like I don't want to stop or something. I have a problem. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Thanks again for watching. Bye.